The job as a parent is to actually guide and be there. The only way that we can become stronger is by going through situations that require us to meet a version of ourselves that we've not met before.
Welcome to the Grab a Coffee podcast. I'm Alice.
And I'm Francesca.
Catch up weekly with a coffee where we chat about life running small businesses, juggling motherhood,
and tangents ranging from holiday embarrassment to female hormones and everything in between.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too.
How are you?
I'm very hot, but in a good way, because I decided to walk to your house today.
From a very far place.
Far away. And I thought, nah, I'm not going to trust the maps. I can do that in 15. I did it in 25, didn't I? I did bottom of Fountain Street to the top in 6.
That's insane. You must be like sprinting. Anyway.
Back to the matter in hand.
You're not listening to us very much today, everybody who's listening, because we've got lovely Becky Farrer on, who is... Oh, I've forgotten it already. I knew this was going to happen, didn't we? An identity and self-leadership speaker.
Yes, you got it! Yeah!
Well done, Alice.
And Becky also used to have dance school, so I find it super interesting that you ran that for 21 years and then last year have obviously continued being self-employed but completely pivoted. So that's something that would be really good to chat to you about today. But do you want to just tell us a bit more about what you're doing at the moment and how you got into it?
So at the moment I am planting seeds in chapter 1. Literally day by day, week by week, navigating the unknown. That is genuinely where I am. I took a transition out, as I mentioned, in November 2025 with no plan other than a feeling. Let's just see. Let's just see what comes.
Like it.
Let's just see what comes. Yeah.
That's something you would do.
I've just decided today.
Oh, I decided in 2022. It took me 3.5 years to actually build up the courage to actually do it. So.
Wow. So what process did you go through then? So 2022, what did you think of? What did you think, hang on, this is what I'm changing?
So 2022 was at a group mastermind session in Birmingham. It was May, and we had to do a bit of a deep dive meditation. And ultimately during that process, saw a life and visualised a life that didn't look anything like the one that I was living. It was really strange. We had to write things down about our future, and when I almost kind of came round and read it back, I was like, yeah, that's not what I'm doing. That's not what life reflects like right now. And it was a really strange feeling because I had such a excitement towards, oh my gosh, wow, that could be amazing, that would be fabulous to do all that stuff. But then this mass emotion, because it were almost but that must have been so far deep, in my subconscious or wherever it kind of came and popped from, that I literally sobbed the whole entire way home to my husband, because I was like, well, how did these two things come together? How do I move from one to the other? And one,
because you knew then that it was something that you were going to have to do. You had to follow that and go with that.
It just felt right.
Oh.
And it's so difficult to unless someone's had what I would deem as that feeling where you just kind of know and you just get this pull or this intuitive leading feeling. It's a really difficult one to explain, because feelings I think are really hard to articulate.
Yeah,
they are.
And I just felt such a curiosity. And I am really spiritual. I do have a spiritual outlook, which is probably a good job, because I don't think I'd be sitting here now if I didn't. And I went to a networking group last week and I told my story and I was like, I'll come back to you in a few years and let you know how it worked out. Because I literally am in that gap of being I don't know where this is going to go. I've got a beautiful big vision as to what I'd love to do and where I want to go, but I have no idea how I'm going to get there or what's going to unfold along the way.
Well, that's so exciting. I'm so pleased that you've done it. So what does it look like right now?
The future, or right here, right now?
Right now. So from that, what does it now look like?
When you say from that, which bit do you mean?
So you've had your idea. You knew from the deep depths of your soul that it's what you needed and wanted. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't have had that emotional conversation with your husband all the way home. You know, it's almost like a calling, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I know you said that took a few years then to produce an actual physical. This is what's happening. What is happening right now? What does that look like now?
What are you doing? What you're up to?
Yeah. So what do you do?
So what do I do? So ultimately, I want to do global speaking. So when I finished in November, I gave myself until Christmas to kind of like just pause a little bit, really, because like the only option that I ever had to do that was the COVID. I've worked for myself from being 19. Wow. Massively operated in my head, which I didn't realise I did that until COVID came, and then I was like, is this what normal people's heads feel like? Because for the first time, like, I experienced space that like I've never had before. So I gave myself a little bit of time until January, and then this year I have literally just set my stall out to my aim is to just use my voice, because I want to do global speaking eventually. That's what I would love to do, travel the world, share manually like created theory. So my aim throughout the whole of this year was, how can I use my voice and embody the identity now of the person that travels and shares messages and uses her voice. And that's literally, so I ask to guest on people's podcasts, attend local like networking things just to talk to people. And I had, for a long time, I was like, do I want to coach or do I want to speak? Do I want to coach or do? Because when I did my coaching qualification during COVID, because like the girl with the busy mind needed to keep the busy mind busy during COVID.
Obviously.
That's when I did my PT qualification in Canada. Yeah. That's when you started your business, isn't it?
Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this feels like it's just a part of me that's been missing. It was genuinely at that point where I thought, hang on a minute, it's not actually really been about dance. Like, dance has been the vehicle that's allowed me to work with people and to develop like people from the inside out. So I went backwards and forwards for a long time with like, is it coaching, is it speaking? But it definitely is like speaking, and I've made a few jokes because I dropped out of dance college when I was 18. I've only been there 3 months. I wanted to be a professional dancer. Like, I was like, I want to be West End, I want to do this. And now I'm like, yeah, I was never meant to dance on stages. I'm going to stand on them and speak instead. But like, still kind of like, still sort of born for the stage. And I just see like each week, like what comes up. And it's been interesting, like what opportunities have come up for me up to now. And I think it'll be really interesting in another few months, like where these opportunities kind of go and what unfolds. Like, I've just recently been connected with a charity which is really close to my heart because it's to do with young people, and obviously that's a lot of my expertise. I've worked with young people for a long time, and had an interview to connect it with them to then be able to go around and doing talks in schools. And I think it's such a privilege. Like, I think words are incredibly powerful, and I think it is such a privilege to be able to stand in front of people and share some words that potentially could really impact and change like the trajectory of how like somebody thinks or things that they do, particularly in that influential kind of time of like throughout their teens.
Yeah, it is a really influential time, isn't it? And I guess like as a dance teacher, you'd have seen that, and you'd have seen children coming in to the school who were like really lacking confidence and self-esteem, and then helping them come out their shells and have their own personalities and like come into their own a lot. And I guess you're right, that was a vessel for what you kind of were destined to do, I suppose. That's so interesting. I wonder how many people like don't even realise that they're not doing what they should be doing because they've not had that realisation. I assume you were happy and content with your life.
Yeah, so, and it's so interesting as well because my dance academy, I set that up on the back of dropping out of dance college. Yeah. Like, when I was on a podcast recently and the guy on there said it's interesting how we can only ever connect the dots going backwards.
Yeah.
And it's kind of true. Like, I was quite a talented dancer. You know, and as I say, I went off to dance college at 18. It were all I wanted to do. I wanna be a professional dancer. And within 3 months I'd left because I never really had been taught how to use my mindset. So I'd gone from being in an environment where things were relatively within like my ability a lot of the time into an environment that just stretched me and thrusted me, and I had loads of self-doubt, loads of comparison, and it just got to where it was all consuming, and I just was like, I'm just not good enough to be here. Like that's, and I'd never really sort of had that because at school I'd always been like quite a high achiever, and I didn't know how to handle it other than like I just need to leave here. And I've always listened to like my inner feeling, and I don't believe that we can make wrong decisions. Like a lot of people are like, what is the wrong decision? But I think if we make a decision at the time that feels right, it's the decision that we're meant to make at the time. So I finished dance college, and then but I wasn't ready to leave dance behind. So I was like, right, I'm gonna do teaching, and it just felt really natural to me. And I really, really enjoyed it. But I set up my classes at the time. It wasn't really an academy, it was just a few classes. And I wanted to give children the mindset things that I felt like I didn't have, because not every child wants to be a professional dancer, but I believe that the hobbies and the things that they are exposed to can support them to be amazing humans. So that's what I always wanted to do. It was like I wanted to equip children with skills, like mindset skills, that basically I have always said that enable them to be the star of their own show, whatever stage they step onto. And that's basically what I spent a lot of time doing. And then I worked out of school halls and things like that, and then I wanted my own studio, which it took me 4 years to save up for that. So I saved up, like literally lived hand to mouth, and opened my own facility in January 2020. So I think it was like 6.5 weeks or something, and then it was closed. But I think again, like, because I'm a believer in everything happens for a reason, and we just have to learn to ride these things, like but even during COVID there were a lot of like panic around, and I just never felt that. I just had this underlying feeling of like, I just think everything's like gonna be okay.
I enjoyed lockdown.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but I think it was a good thing, because it stopped me. I think it would have been really easy for me to then get really swept away in like everything, so to speak, which eventually, like towards the end of like the academy, it were a really strange feeling, because I'd literally loved my job like my whole entire life, but there was just something that just didn't quite fit anymore, and I just felt quite anxious a lot of the time, and I felt emotional a lot of the time. But again, coming back to what I believe from like a spiritual point of view, like I genuinely believe my soul had fulfilled its purpose, and the only way that I were ever going to move were like the universe just like, we're just going to make you really fucking uncomfortable, because if we don't make you uncomfortable, you're just never going to go. Like, and it's true. And I just had this constant from 2022 to 2025, just this constant push, pull, because I just had this desire and this fear, then this desire, then this fear, plus a lot of, you know, what people think when it's through change, which is so many what ifs, like what if this happens, what if that happens, what if the other happens, what might people think? That was a big one. Like, what about
fear of judgment?
Fear of judgment, and I felt like I was letting people down. Like I felt like it was not okay to change, because when it's your own business, I think it's different to if like you've got a job or you're employed by someone else.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I feel like, because my husband's changed, he gets pretty bored at work, so if it's not challenging him, he'll just leave. But he never feels bad or guilty or like he's letting anyone down. He's just like, no, I'm done here. It's time to move on. So, like, our families are always like joking about, oh, how long has he been in this one for?
Yeah, and
like his last one was nearly 2 years, and that was like the longest he's ever been in a job since he graduated uni. Because he normally lasts about 12 months, but he just needs his brain to be challenged.
Yeah, And I think like ultimately that was my perception, right? Because it's like that's only what I thought. But like I say, I think I'm a big believer in growth, and I'm a big believer in expansion, and I do think that, you know, we get what we need from a certain place, and then we learn, and then we grow, and then we need to kind of change, and then we learn, and then we grow, and then we evolve, and then and I think, well, that's no different to we go through nursery, and then we go to primary school, and then we go to secondary school, and you know, there's a growth and a transition, and it was just like a really challenging time. And then I feel like I'd got so much like inner work to do, because genuinely, and other than like saying, well, I feel like my soul had done its thing, I couldn't understand why something that had been my complete and utter life for so long and had fulfilled me in, like, it just never felt like work. Do you know, for my whole entire career, like, I literally just loved it until it was like, something's off. And I just couldn't put my finger on it. And then I thought, I am going to have to start making changes. And I'd got an amazing teacher who in July 2024, I promoted her to like acting principal role, because I was like, okay, let's look at me trying to take a few steps back. And I'd still really no idea what the next thing was going to hold. But again, it was almost that, this is what I feel like I need to do, and I'm trusting this feeling before I really know why. So I promoted her in the July, and then in January of like last year, 2025, and I was like, I feel like I'm coming to the end of like my teaching career, but again, couldn't tell you why, couldn't, you know, not unhappy as such, just this feeling, like just a freaking feeling. And I was like, right, universe, right, I'm scared to death.
Give me a sign, give a sign.
That's exactly what I did. I was like, give me a sign, right? So I was like, I would love a yellow pig. I always ask for like really random signs, because like you can't pass that off, can you? So I was like, right, send me a yellow pig. Anyway, it got to like July coming before the summer holidays, and I was walking, we've got a gorgeous country park near us, and I was walking my dog there. And I was listening to this audio, like it were a nervous system like reset one, and it were about having to do with like maybe change or something like that. And the audio said, you are one decision away from a completely different life. And I literally just sobbed in the middle of like the country park walking my dog, because it were like I just knew, but I couldn't, I still were just ridiculously scared navigating out. And then I actually spoke to the girl that worked for me, and I said, I really feel like after the show in November, I feel like it's time for me to stop teaching. It still gets me a little bit choked now.
It's so recent, though, Becky.
I know.
It's really raw.
Yeah, and I told her before I even told my husband. And then we went on holiday. I did, because it were almost like then once I'd said it out loud to like him, that it would then become kind of like quite a real thing.
Yeah.
And it's so strange, because everyone says like how life begins at 40, and I was like 40 last summer. And I was just like, oh God, maybe I'm having some sort of like midlife crisis. I'll just throw my whole life to the wall. But I did mention it to Andrew like on holiday, and he was just like, he said, I just feel like it's been time. You know, you've just been in this push and this pull, kind of like I'm behind you, whatever you want to do. But then I started like over summer, because like we closed over summer, I just started talking about, well, when I finish teaching. And the more I sort of said it, that like the more it became, I was like, no, okay, this is where we're going, this is what's going to happen. And then as soon as I went back in September, I did tell like all of the kids and the parents, because I thought, I'm so what you see is what you get. I'm such an open, honest book. I was like, I cannot show up every week in this studio. And in the end, what I like concluded is that I'd always said to the kids that like I'd taught, I genuinely believe that you can do anything, be anything, have anything, like believe in yourself. Like the whole academy was built on values. So we've never been an examination academy. It's all been about personal development and well-being and mindset. And I was like, maybe the whole point is that I kind of go first and give them like the permission to dream big by doing it. And that sort of made it easier, because then I didn't feel like, because I didn't want to like inverted commas like leave them behind. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to be able to do something else, but then kind of like almost like bring them like on the journey. But it's nice, like I still own the business, I still have the business. I have a monthly meeting, it's actually today, like, you know, with the girl now that runs it, but it was gorgeous because she's only young and it was her dream to have her own dance school. So I feel like I fulfilled someone else's dream by then going off and doing like something different. And that sort of, that feels nice and special.
Like you made space for her.
Yeah. And then basically I was offered an opportunity at the end of January to take part in an event called Inspire 2026, and that was just at Wakefield Theatre Royal, not far from me. And he was like, the organiser was like, would you like to stand up and like speak and share something? I was like, yes, I would. Like, he's known for a few years that like I want to do speaking. And I was like, right, the teacher in me needs to give like some form of like tangible, like I don't just want to stand up and talk without giving people something that they can like take away. So again, when I need to do something outwardly, I'll go inwards. So I'll sit inwards and be like, what can I like do? And I was like, right, I'm gonna speak about my journey through transitioning out of teaching, because I think there'll be a lot of people that get that feeling, that get that nudge, that have that intuition, but like me, sort of feel that fear like around like the change. And then I like journaled in my like notebook about like the fear theory, and then a few days later I was flicking through some old journals and found in there Becky Farrer will be really well known for the fear theory, and I was like, that was like 3 years before, so I was like, I'm definitely gonna talk about the fear theory. So I created my theory for the event that I did in January, and everyone was like, it was such an interesting sort of concept. And then a week later I put it in for a trademark application, and then just decided that like, well, it's one of those where I was like, well, I have nothing else right now, like, kind of to let's just, and it was a way that I was able to share my own story, but then also create something that was slightly unique in how we can navigate fear. And then now that's what I talk about, and that's what I share, and that's what all my social media content is about, which is basically about how I don't believe fear now is necessarily a stop sign. I think so many of us see it as like, we're not ready, this is not for me, like because it's uncomfortable, nobody likes that feeling.
I agree with you. I think fear isn't something to be feared.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how else to say it. Like,
it's true.
Yeah, it's not. It grows you. Like being uncomfortable, like grows you as a person. If you're just comfortable all the time, and you're just plodding along, you're not growing as a person. I don't think. And if you are, it's like with children. Like, my daughters get scared of stuff all the time. Like, she's scared of going too fast on a bike. So she's constantly got, like, fear. But I'm not like, oh, God, yeah, slow down. I'm like, no, come on, let's be brave. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? You might fall off. I'm right here. I'll catch you. It's fine.
Their ages, it's their first time of a lot of things. So
yes, there's so much fear. But then you see that once they've got through that mental block of the fear, then they're... like, a lot of good comes from it, because obviously then she's growing as a person and realises, I can do that, and I can do something if I keep trying and pushing myself. So yeah, I agree. I don't think fear is necessarily a negative thing at all.
It's so strange, because everything that you've said so far, I've just been like fully connecting and almost like hearing words that you're not saying, and just feel like you're one of those people that you can just completely like get. And then you started talking about the fear. And I've had that conversation this weekend with my 10-year-old, who is on a school trip today. And that's a really big deal because she doesn't go to school. I'm laughing, but she doesn't. She did 29 minutes since we came back from the Easter holidays. And she did 4 hours in 6 weeks before the Easter holidays. So she doesn't go to school. So it's a really, really big deal. We've had 2 things come up recently. And we've talked about fear. One of them it was quite funny, but I had to control myself. A spider landed on her in the car. That doesn't bother me at all. No, she's decided she's scared.
Oh, God.
I flicked it off her leg and I said, well, find it. And then I had to have this long conversation because she was in this mode. She couldn't get out and run because we were driving. And I was trying to explain to her and say, like, well, what are you actually scared of? What do you think is going to happen? And I said, fear isn't actually because we have to run away from a lion. It's, you don't know that yet. You don't know the spider. Maybe if we look some spiders up and understand what they do, you realise that they can't eat you. You're not in danger from the spider.
It's more justifiable in Australia, isn't it?
Exactly. I did say that to her. I said, that's okay. She said, they can bite you. I said, they've got tiny mouths. In this country, spiders can't hurt you. They're fine. And then we were talking last night when she was worried about the trip, because it's a residential, so she's staying overnight tonight.
It's a massive
deal for someone that doesn't go to school.
I think it's a big step for any kid anyway, but especially because she's not at school.
And she was saying about how she said, my body's getting that nervous feeling while I'm plaiting her hair this morning. I said, you know what that is? That's excitement, and it's because you don't know what to expect fully, and that's really normal. I said, it's really good. I said that you're going to put yourself in that where you might feel a little bit frightened, but it trains your brain. This is what I've said to her anyway. I don't know if there'll be a psychologist going, that's a lot of rubbish. It'll train your brain.
Lying to children.
Yeah, to understand what fears mean you need to run away from imminent death, and what fears mean that you just don't know yet, and you need to get to know it like you get to know the spider. So I don't know, but when you were talking about that, I was thinking, oh my God, I've had 2 fear conversations this week, and so far it's worked because I've not had a phone call. They've been there 2 hours. We'll see what 10 o'clock tonight brings, but so I'm hopeful this fear thing. So whatever you say next, I'm going to use.
Yeah, well, ultimately, that's exactly it. Like, I think the fear comes up, and I always say, like, it's not like the spider thing or it's a height thing. Like, it's to do with, like, us, that we're able to kind of, like, control, you know, through either change, transition, or identity expansion. And ultimately, it is because the brain is wired for safety and familiarity. Like, ultimately, that's what it is. So anything that's new, anything that's unknown, anything that's certain, the brain's going to be like, whoa, just hang on a minute, like, I'm not sure this is a good thing to kind of do. You know, which is where I was with my job. It's like, but we don't know what's on the other side of Becky the dance teacher, because this is what we know, and this is what's familiar, and, you know, and then even as well, if it's like, well, this could happen, the brain will then still go, yeah, but this could happen too. You know, which is like what I sort of teach now, which is like the voice of protection versus the voice of expansion. So the voice of protection is always going to be the voice that basically protects the existing identity and keeps us in like what we've always known, what is safe and what is familiar. You know, so that's like, well, what will people think of you if you leave, and what might happen to the business that you've spent ages, you know, putting it into, and you, global speaking, having a laugh at you and all whatever. But then the voice of expansion, which I still, and I can't claim it until I know whether it's going to happen for me or not in terms of this chapter. However, I did want to open a dance studio once, and I did that, so I have got evidence, you know, of some form of degree of trusting. You know, the voice of expansion that's like I genuinely don't believe that we hold something in our heart if we don't have capacity or ability to be able to make it happen. Like, I just don't think it would ever be there for us. But the voice of expansion that then goes, well, why not you? Like, this could be you, and actually give somebody else an opportunity to run this. And actually, by you going off and doing this, how many other people are you going to be able to, like, inspire, like, around you, or give permission to do, like, the thing that they want to do? And, you know, with the fear theory, like, it's a 4-part framework where it's like F is future focus. So that is actually like on the other side of this feeling, like, who do I want to be? Like, what do I want to do? What do I want to achieve? And then E is expansion capacity, which that's being aware of, okay, yeah, I feel these feelings now. But like the easiest kind of example I give people with expansion capacity is like for people that like go to the gym or like work out. It's like when we first start doing something, like it's uncomfortable, like you go to the gym and then your body starts aching, or you lift something and it hurts, but then you adapt and then you become stronger like through that. And that's how, so by being in these uncomfortable situations. So like your daughter on this trip this morning, like the next time she goes on a trip, she might still feel it, but she's already now experienced it, so she's going to feel it in a different way. And then if she kept going on these trips, eventually it's just going to be where she adapts, because she now knows what to expect. She's comfortable enough in the situation because she's experienced that. And then A is aligned action. So that's even acknowledging the uncomfortable feelings and taking things on. If everything was to turn out exactly how we wanted it, because ultimately it's only because we think that something like might happen that's like bad or like negative. The fear is like looking after the worst case scenario stuff, not always like, oh, but it could be this, and this could be amazing, or this could be fabulous. So like aligned action for me is like where self-trust and the courage like meet, and then we take that like one like step forward. Although sometimes I am a big believer as well in an intentional pause, because again, if we're growing, like we can't always be moving all the time. And I think sometimes, and I'd see and speak with a lot of women who feel pressure to always be like moving and always keeping forward and always be doing the next thing and always being productive. And actually sometimes it's fine to just go, I'm good for here right now. Like I'm just gonna pause and I'm just gonna allow myself to like build strength like here now. And then R is reinforcing identity. So then that's basically through repetition, because the brain loves repetition. That's how it basically, creates its new belief systems. Through repetition and reinforcement and reflection, we strengthen and stabilize the version of ourselves that like we want to become. And we can use that in like a multitude of like different ways. And then when it comes to like growing again, we like go back to the beginning. So like even a really small silly example, like I used to be somebody that I could not finish the day with unopened emails in my inbox. I'd feel like my day had like been incomplete. I'm going back probably about 2 or 3 years now. And it would just, if I didn't have a clear inbox, like I would feel like I'd like failed the day because I'd not like literally got to the end of everything. Yeah, that's how I was like programmed at the time, like massive perfectionist. And I'd need everything sorting. So, with the fear theory, it'd be then, but what does Becky actually want? Actually, she wants to be able to leave the day, having a few emails in there that are unopened and feel okay with it. So what's the expansion capacity? It's going to feel a bit fucking uncomfortable when we leave some emails in there unopened, But what's the aligned action? Leaving them there anyway. Getting to the end of the day, leaving them there, And then R is like continuing that process until so it can be used for the big things, but the small things as well. The small things in life that just make us feel a little bit uncomfortable, because everyone's got mind gremlins that come up and like to stick their 2 pence in about the things that we should or shouldn't be doing and what decisions we're making or not making. And now there's so much stuff in life that I'm able to go, oh, actually, I can use this theory here. Like I can embody like what's happening. And a few weeks ago I took some time off at Easter. And I can honestly, hand on heart, say it's the first time I've ever had time off where I felt really present, like with my family, because I've always had that part of me that's been like pulled back into like work or, you should be doing this for your business or you should be thinking about this. And I just had, this pull and this push all the time between like, but I'm having time off and I want to be with my family. Yeah, but you signed up to having a business, so therefore if you've signed up for this is what it. And again, that's just a thought process. That's not a fact. That's just a belief system that like I took on, or that we get told, no, this is what you signed up for when you decided to start your own business. Like this is what it should look like. And I'd had this like really present time off. And then on the Tuesday when I came back, I just felt so overwhelmed with like emotion, and I was like really teary in this day. And like again, now I understand my emotions quite a lot. I'm really self-aware. And I was like, this emotion is coming from the fact that I was like, I've had this for the first time ever. So then the fear is, how do I make sure that I keep this going forward? And then it was, oh, but if things get busier, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to maybe have this anymore until I go, no, this is my choice. things can get busier, but I will choose to put boundaries in place so that I can be present. I will choose to make this decision because actually, like, this is what I choose, and everything, it is a choice. It's a choice on how we look at something and what we decide. But I love the fact that I have that awareness to be able to go, what am I feeling? What is it trying to protect? What is it bringing up for me? But underneath, like, what's the fear? What is it trying to help me kind of understand or learn or navigate?
I don't know what to say. I'm so like, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I agree. Like,
I know.
Oh my god. I don't know how you can articulate that all so well, Becky.
God, blimey.
That's a lot of food for thought.
Yeah. You know, sometimes when you ask me a question, then you have to ask me it again, and I've heard it, but I haven't been able to push through what my mind was already doing, because then it does four more things, and then I can answer it. That's what's happening, so I can't say anything.
I resonated with that a lot because I'm not so bad anymore, but definitely kind of 2-3 years ago, even probably last year to be fair, like I'm such a catastrophizer.
Okay.
Like so many what ifs.
But you go, when you say catastrophize, you go into the absolute worst case scenario that's probably unlikely.
Yeah, like what if this and then this and then this, and it's just like spirals. But I've got much better at like getting rid of those thoughts now and kind of thinking like
rationalizing it.
Yeah, like rationalizing it and being like, well, actually, like even just like posting on social media, like what if another coach judges me? Well, what if they're not gonna? What the fuck are they gonna do? Nothing. Like literally nothing.
Yeah.
Or what if someone thinks I'm being too sassy? Oh well, then I don't want to work with them, so it's fine.
Yeah, and that's kind of it. So that's ultimately like, what if another coach like judges me? So that's your voice of protection, because then potential action on that is, well, I'm just not going to post it.
Exactly.
Because if I don't post it, whereas then I would go, but the voice of expansion and social media for me was quite uncomfortable when I like first started doing this.
I find social media uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I was really grateful with the help that I got with it, which was, but what if there's one person that needs to hear the one thing that you want to share, like in that day? And that made it then so much easier for me. So now every time something goes out, I literally just have that declaration of, just put that to the one person that needs to hear that today.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
that's a good reframe.
Yeah, and then it don't matter about the person and ultimately the person that judges. I always think that's on them. I used to say that to my kids, like if kids, you know, sometimes kids will be a little bit unkind, or, you know, for the majority of people who want to see other people do well, like I would be someone that would always be clapping and celebrating somebody else. And I am also aware that if I see something that then I've got a little bit of judgment on, the first thing I go now is, so what's my issue? Like, this is a me thing. This is a me thing. I've got to take some time to sit with this. What is this about? This, what is it activating? I don't like the word triggering. It's like, what is it activating in me that enables me to learn something like about myself?
I think that's so true. I think all judgment from someone is a reflection of them and the fact that they're not content or happy or comfortable with what they're doing or whatever, and they've got to project it somehow.
Definitely.
And like social media has given people a platform to be like to project it as a keyboard warrior and hide behind the screen. A lot of people who are mean on, like, you know, that in that way wouldn't say it to your face. But yeah, I'm the same. Like, I think as well, like, girls are we're almost conditioned to be mean to each other growing up. Like, we like,
that's why I never fit in,
pegged against each other and we're competing against each other, whereas now as a grown up, all I want to do is like help other women and like be surrounded by, like Francesca, like
build your village kind of thing,
women who are like, yeah, building each other up and not competing and like pulling each other down, because like, just being bitchy and nasty doesn't help anybody, and it doesn't help the person who's feeling and saying those things, and it doesn't help obviously the people who are receiving it either. Like, there's nothing good comes from that kind of negativity and judgment, I don't think. But
Absolutely not.
A lot of good comes from being that, like, positive, supportive person. What did people say when you said, like, what was the reaction when you said, right, I'm not going to teach anymore, I'm going to do this? What was the reaction?
So I got a lot of mixed, like, in terms of, I was actually asked this on a podcast last week about, like, within, like, the academy, and I was like, well, if it was negative, it was never brought to me. Like, I don't know whether some of the parents were just a bit like, oh gosh, like, but I think...
I tell you what, they were going, I'm a bit jealous. I wish I was brave enough to... Yeah. That's exactly what they were thinking.
Yeah. I think that there's naturally... there would have perhaps been a, like, fear thing first, of like, oh, what happens here? Like, what does this mean, like, for us? Or, but in terms of, like, my family, I was really quite well supported, really, with a lot of stuff. There was probably only really my mum-in-law who, like, it wasn't that she wasn't supportive, but definitely was like, but they'll all, what if they all leave?
Yeah,
like, they're all, but again, that's just a generational thing of, like,
why would you
why are we changing what you've always done? Or
and people of that generation had a job from the age of 18 and, like, literally until the day they retired.
Yeah. So, but again, coming back to... It's hard if people hadn't have been like that, but the pull in me was, like, so big that I would have just done it anyway. And, like, that's one of my biggest things that, like, I try and teach and support people with is, like, self-trust. So just going back to, like, when you said about, like, your what ifs and, like, when things, like, catastrophize, I now really hone in on, like, self-trust, which is actually, it doesn't matter what the outcome of something is. I trust myself that I'm going to be able to navigate. Like, I trust myself that I'm going to be able to handle whatever sort of comes up, because I used to be a massive overthinker. Like, I could overthink overthinking, because ultimately, again, like, the brain is trying to create, like, certainty and trying to predict, like, certain outcomes. And, like, the amount of time that I say to people, like, whilst I'm going through life now completely in the unknown and completely unexpected, so is everybody else. Like, you just all think that you actually know what your life is doing, and really you don't, because there could be a curveball at any minute. It's just that the security or the stories that are created in our mind, they just make sense for more people to kind of go, like, that way through life. Whereas actually... nobody really knows, like, the outcome of anything. What's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen the day after? What's going to happen the day after? So just being present each time and just building up the trust to know that actually, you know, if something comes up, I need that situation to, like, what I call give me my armour. So, like, instead of being like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I don't celebrate inconvenience and stuff, but I now do take a moment to go, but what can I learn from this? Like, what is this trying to give me? What is this trying to support me with? Because ultimately, going back to the 18-year-old at dance college, she couldn't handle the challenge because she'd never had it. So that's the reason that everything fell apart. So the only way that we can become stronger is by going through situations that require us to meet a version of ourselves that we've not met before. That's the only way that we can navigate the stuff, and then trusting on ourselves at the other time. And the other thing, going back to overthinking, you know, now I don't believe that there's a right or a wrong decision when it comes to decision making. So when I'd said earlier on, like, it's just about making a decision that we feel is, like, right at the time. So it's like, it's just a decision, because so many people, like, make a decision and then it might not turn out as they expected, which to start with, we shouldn't really have expectations anyway, because that's just another story that we've created for ourselves. Like, if I make this, then this is going to happen, then that's going to happen. If I do this, then this is... Nobody knows that.
We all just need more hobbies so we stop being in our own heads all the time.
Yeah. Do you know? So it's just... Whereas now I'm just like, this is the decision.
Do all those things.
Oh, yeah. Everyone does, because we just go through this constant prediction to protect like what comes up. Whereas now I just go, right, this is my decision. Even down to like really stupid things, like one of my words for 2026 were expansion. So like just actually one of those things is choosing and going out to new places for tea, you know. But it's like, you know, I went to India the other week and I was like, yeah, chicken tikka masala, would you like the Asian style? What's that? It's like, oh, it's a little bit more spicy. You go on there, Jesus Christ, I'm not having that again, right? But it's like, it was so hot for me.
Like girl style.
I was like, oh God. Yeah. But like, old Becky, as much as it's only food, like I'm trying to give really like everyday examples where we're like, oh, I should have just had the other one. Well, I wanted to try something different.
Yeah, how would you know? Like,
did it work?
Like,
Exactly.
oh, I wonder what that one would have tasted like.
Yeah.
I would always try something new rather than be curious after the fact. I would much rather do it and find out than not do it, which is what I'm trying to teach my daughter about, because she is quite like a safe person. But yeah, I've probably in the past year or so, I've talked to my husband a lot about this. Like, if we make a decision and then it's quote unquote the wrong decision, like whatever it is, like, I don't know, shouldn't have gone to that mechanic, or shouldn't have painted the wall that colour, whatever it is, like some really minor things. And I always say, no, at the time that was the right decision. Yeah. Like, we didn't decide to make the wrong, like, you obviously don't choose what you think might be the wrong decision at the time. Like, at the time, with the information that we knew at the time, we made the right decision based on all the facts that we had available to us. Therefore, it was the right decision.
Yeah, I completely agree.
You can't use hindsight to be like, oh, well, we shouldn't have done that. Well, if I could predict the future and see the future, obviously I wouldn't have done that. But at the time, with the information we had, it was the right decision.
Yeah. And I think that's it though, like, people do like beat themselves up, and I think it's just trust yourself to make the decision, and then have the self-compassion to be, you know. And that's like, for me now, like, I mean, I invested in a course like a couple of years ago, and it was a substantial amount of money, and I got to the end of module and I was like, this is not for me. But in the end, like, I still stand by the fact that I was like, but it felt like it was the right thing to do at the time, and I trust that. So, okay, the outcome, maybe the outcome was the whole point. Maybe it was that I was meant to understand, listening to my intuition and listening to my inner knowing, because I've decided that by investing in that course, I would get to the end of it, and then that course would enable me to do X, Y, and Z, and maybe that wasn't the plan at all. And I think just by taking everything, just one decision at a time, and trusting ourselves. And I always think as well, you know, like when you're in a car, if you're going on a journey and then you take a wrong turn and the sat-nav just like redirects it, you know, it's like, it's fine. It doesn't matter if we've ended up going down this way, like, just come back.
Yeah, you end up seeing something like really beautiful that you wouldn't have seen if you'd stayed on the motorway, or... Yeah.
Because I just think sometimes there's a lot of pressure to like get stuff right, but I do think that that's how we're conditioned. Like when you'd said about how, you know, girls can be a little bit like this, but I think life in general, it pictures people against, like, this came up in another conversation that I was at recently, and I mean, it'll be really interesting because it's actually parents' evening tomorrow, and I brought up parents' evening on one of the other podcasts that I did. But it drove me insane when I'd go to parents' evening when the kids were younger, and they'd talk about my child, but where that compared with the rest of the kids in the class. And I just don't think it's important. I just think it's important for everyone to just appreciate and focus on their own journey and their own evolution. But we are, as humans, we are compared from a very young age, and we are measured and we are graded, and not so that it's how we are. It's then how we're conditioned to kind of.
A lot in my baby classes is to stop comparing what your baby can do or the size of them next to the other baby.
Oh, that is so hard though when you're a new mum, isn't it?
Girls and boys are different. We're all built different, so our babies are going to look different. So long as nobody's got any actual health concerns, and you are checking with your health visitor if you are worried, then stop comparing. I didn't even look in my red books. I went to the appointments, obviously. I looked after them, but I didn't bother needing to know anything or look in there, because there was no point, because just because she wasn't on a certain level didn't mean she wasn't going to grow and become chubbier in the end.
Yeah.
And then the same with school, school, that's why so many struggle with school, because the one size needs to fit all. You all need to do your age related, so you need to be doing this at this time. So then you feel like a failure because you're not. But actually, you would have been in 6 months. It was just going to be you were going to achieve that then, and that person achieves that then. But you spend a lot of childhood thinking that you failed or useless because you have to be measured against one thing that one man in an office decides.
Yeah.
Who's never worked in a school, or cares or knows about any other way of learning but the way. I don't know, that's quite general, isn't it? But that is pretty much where it comes from, especially with what we're struggling with at the moment. This man in this office in the attendance team in the council has decided to tell me that it must be too fun at home and that's why she doesn't want to come to school. So with that kind of attitude and support, I'm on my own in this. So that school thing's a really big thing for me. If I had, lots of money and maybe did a slightly better at school myself, I might be homeschooling.
Yeah. Yeah, we are just put in a box, aren't we?
Yeah.
Like, straight away. And you can't help it as well. Like, I remember, like, when Elodie was born, and then I'd go to baby group stuff, and then like, oh, what? I remember someone asking, like, oh, what centile is her head at? I was like, I don't fucking know. Felt big when it came out, though.
Yeah, I got it out with no stitches, and it looks in proportion to the rest of my body.
No, I had to get, I had episiotomy. But then, yeah, like, it's just constant, like, you find yourself doing it even without realising, and you try and not do it. I even do it with the dog, like, see another cockapoo, and like, oh, she's big, oh, that chili's really small. I'm like, why? Who gives a shit? No one cares. It's almost like a way of making small talk, though, isn't it? Just like commenting on similarities and differences. But yeah, I feel
my teenager's getting that a lot at the moment. Like, someone will walk past and go, "Oh, nice skirt or top or whatever it is," but now she's gone the other way. She's had that in high school, and now she's in year 10. She's gone the other way. She's like dresses a little bit more out of what the norm might be, deliberately, I think, and it's just this, that you're not going to put me in that box. I'm not going to
conform.
Yeah. She says the girls that have the false tan, and then the girls that don't, or the girls that have the makeup and the girls that don't, and she's just like, whatever it is that's meant to be happening, I'm not doing that. I was like, yes, that's right. We're not following. Yeah, we dyed her hair red at the weekend, and she was like, don't even care what schools say, because they didn't say anything after the Easter holidays. I was like, it's fine, we'll just roll with it. And you enjoyed isolation last time you were in there, so you look. She had a great time. She said she didn't have to do PE and she got to do Spanish. And it was
I'd always pick PE over Spanish.
Oh no, I just used to leave before PE.
PE was one of my favourites. I loved it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's tricky. Yeah. I think it's like tricky, like with schooling. It's like, I mean, I've got my daughter's in year 9 now. She'll be headed. Well, they go into year 10 actually after June, so they don't get spring bank. In May, she gets a week when the GCSEs have done, and then she like moves up. But I do agree with like uniforms and things like that, but I do think it's hard when you are like, my daughter's got like multiple like piercings, and she's not allowed any of them in at school. Like they've all got to come out. She's not allowed to wear any makeup at all for school.
I don't think that's right.
And I feel like it dims her sense of self-expression a little bit. I think there's got to be a bit of a balance kind of both. But, you know, she comes home and the first thing she does is like put all her makeup on, and then, you know, and curls all her hair, because that's then she feels like her, puts all her piercings back in.
At the end of the day, isn't it? Like doing that at 4 p.m.
So
it's crazy that she just needs to feel like herself so much that she will do that at the end of the school day.
And I get
So
have rules in
sad.
place because
I understand the uniform thing.
Yeah,
definitely,
totally.
because of-
But like Daisy, you know, all of their skin, their hormones having parties on their face. So if anything, she's just covering up the spots. And if you,
If it helps you feel better.
yeah. I know, it's rubbish, isn't it? But I keep telling her, look, you've not even got a
Are they
full
not
year.
allowed to wear makeup either?
Oh, no. She goes full eyeliner and all the cover-up stuff.
Yeah, nice.
Um,
They're not as strict as
it
Becky's daughters.
might have been the same as me.
So they are allowed to wear makeup? Or
She goes in her eyeliner, yeah. So
what's
she
the school
goes.
policy?
I think light makeup. So
light
like,
makeup.
so
She
you
wears
might
black
have
eyeliner.
you might have sensible day makeup that you wear to work, and then
Like
you
that
might
I'm
have
wearing
more
now.
glamorous makeup that you'd wear out. That's just normal life. Surely allow them to have and learn about day makeup and glamorous makeup and have it for different things, because you might want to cover your spots. I don't know, but
Can they have piercings at her school?
one small stud, one ring per hand if that's what they want, and a watch that tells the time only. No, obviously smartwatches, like I can see my messages on mine, so that's different, that's
Yeah, I
understandable.
can understand that. We didn't even have... They didn't exist, did they?
No, that's true, we're so old.
I had my Nokia 3410, but you didn't even have a phone when you were at school.
No, thank you, Alice, I'm aware of that. Our massive age gap.
Sounds like Becky's somewhere in between us. How old are you, Becky? 40?
40, yeah.
Oh, yes.
I'm still the oldest.
You're still the oldest.
Does life begin at 40, Francesca?
You had your how old was
But this is a long
your
pause.
youngest when you were 40 then?
I had him just before I turned 37, so 3-ish.
So that's quite like a...
Yeah.
You were going into another phase of life then, really, weren't you?
Yeah, but then I kind of wasn't, because I felt like I'd just had a baby.
Yeah.
Yes, I won't have long stopped breastfeeding him because he got 2.5 years out of me.
Such a giving person.
Such a giving person. Oh my God, I'd only just finished feeding Minnie. He was born 2 months after, so I did 5 years.
Oh, God.
Wow.
That's amazing. That
Didn't
is
mean to.
such an achievement.
It's like, right, get off. This is cow's milk. Big boys and girls have it.
It's amazing.
I suppose
Amazing.
that's it, isn't it? Like everyone being in like different phases, because like mine are older now. That are just like my son was 18 in like the Easter holidays, and then my daughter's like 14, coming up to like 15. So it's like it's like such a different phase of life. Whereas I've still
your
got friends
youngest is my eldest.
who have got toddlers. Yeah, you know. So
Wow. What did they think about you stop when you decided to stop teaching? Were they bothered?
Yeah.
I haven't actually asked them, to be fair. It would be really interesting to kind of like see and ask their opinion. I'm not sure whether they'd like, well, obviously they'll have one.
Yeah, you might just be mum and they've not actually considered that you've been through this whole process. You might just be, oh, well...
Being quite open, like I've been really open with how I've navigated stuff, and I've always been open with my emotions at home. Like if I'm in a big like snot fest because I'm feeling like shaky about something or vulnerable about something, like I've always shared it, because I think it's important that like they understand that process.
I agree.
I do.
But again, I suppose like with them, it might be something now that they can't fully like quite get their heads around. I mean, my daughter like took the mick a little bit when I was like, oh, you know, saying to my husband, oh, will you just take a picture of this, or will you just do a video of this? And she's like, oh, mum, saying that she's in an influencer era, you know, sort of thing. Do you know? But I would like to think that even depending on what the outcome of like this choice is, that like it supports them to like be courageous and to kind of go after the things that like they want, and to follow like the feels. And like my son, he finishes well, like the equivalent of sixth form, but is at like a football college on like in the summer. And he, apart from travelling, like he doesn't really know like what he wants to do next. He just knows that like he wants to go travelling. But even when he decided to do that, you know, I was like, well, how are you going to fund all this? He's like, well, I don't know. And then I'm thinking, oh, I wonder if that's kind of like come from me. But then he's like, he's saved up with stuff. Like he's just had his 18th. He got quite a lot of money for his 18th. And part of me thinks, did he get more from family because he shared that he wants to go travelling? So is it that, like, when they declare that they want to do something, things just kind of like, you know, sort of slot into place? And like I feel, my mum. So my mum was actually out in Spain a few weeks ago, and he went out and met her, like, out there, and I was like, there's no way that I would have done that at 17. Got on a flight on my own from, like, Leeds Bradford Airport and, like, flew out somewhere. So I think even if, like, they think what I'm doing is, like, a little bit nuts, it's like, but for me there's a level of courage there that I just think that's really good. Like, you know, I just think as a parent, you know, when you were saying about trying to encourage, like, it's okay to feel uncomfortable, like, you know, these feelings are you know, bringing up X, Y or Z, and I've definitely, like, brought them both up to, like, have their own minds and do, like, their own things. Like, for me, like, a job as a parent is to, like, actually, like, guide and be there, but I don't have any expectations of how they will do things or, like, what they will do. I want them to make their own choices, and, like, I don't ever want to turn around and say, oh, you know, but if you'd have listened to me, this would have happened, because that's not helpful.
Oh, no.
You know, but I do remember, like, when I took them to the studio, because, like, the studio that I opened, like, that, I mean, that were in absolute rack and ruin when I went to look at that. And, like, I remember Ollie walking in and he were like, you're going to turn this into a studio, like, and I was like, yeah. And I took them to what it looked like beforehand, where it would just, like, there were burnt out cars in there were pigeons flying around. Honestly, it was a disgrace. I've got pictures up in the entrance now. It's in Cleckheaton between Leeds and Huddersfield. But even in the entrance hall, there's pictures of what it was like when I went to look at it, and then what it turned out like, because I wanted to give them, like, a visual of, like, it goes back to, I've always been that everything's got, like, potential. Everything's got potential. Like, I believe there's possibility in everything. Like, if we dig deep and we have that positive outlook and we've got that belief and we've got that resilience, like, who knows what's possible. So I think, well, I even showed them that even just with renovating the studio when I did that, because it's, I mean, you'd walk in now and you'd never think that. It's absolutely beautiful. It's got 3 studios, sprung floors, mirrors, air conditioning. It's just gorgeous. But it didn't start off looking like that. You know, there were a process to that, and there's a journey to that. And I think sometimes as well, like, people see people achieving things, and, you know, what sometimes looks like, I heard recently someone saying, it were definitely on Instagram, and it was like, oh, you know, this overnight success is actually like a 10-year process.
Yeah.
You know, all of these things that nobody kind of sees or anything. And, you know, that's why, like, now it is quite exciting for me to, like, get opportunity like this, to share, like, the journey along the way, so that, you know, it is just I don't know, rather than in a few years' time being like, oh yeah, and it all came together like this, like, because in reality now that's not, I'm in the messy middle, I'm in the figuring it out, and I, you know, it's literally like jumping out of a plane and, like, thinking, I really hope there's a parachute here. Do you know what I mean? God. You know, I really hope that there's something there to catch me. But going back to, you know, what you'd said earlier on, Alice, like, I'd always rather go for it and just know that
you can go for it and it not work out how you wanted or how you'd like, and change that how it looks, then always sit there thinking, if I'd done that, I wish I'd done that.
Oh, I'd hate
you've got to try it, haven't you? Even if it changes or you stop or whatever, it's got to be tried.
And I think as well, like I'd said to you, like, with, like, my spiritual beliefs, like, I'm almost really putting that to the test, really, if you like, because it's all right me saying, oh yeah, I do think anything is possible, and, you know, I do believe you can manifest this or you can become this, but now, like, I ultimately really get to see and whether that's the case or not. Like, you know, when I went into the sixth form a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, you know, I hope you've taken something from today. You know, I hope one day you go on holiday and you see my book in the airport and you're like, oh my God, I remember when, like, she came in. And I'm okay with declaring, like, the big wishes and the big dreams, because I think, well, why not? Like, whereas at one point I probably wouldn't have shared what I would have wanted to do, because I'd have been like, well, what if people think I'm, like a little bit silly or a little bit crazy. Like I shared something the other day that's like one trait that successful people have, which is like a level of self-belief that looks delusional to so many. I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. Like I'm okay admitting that, you know,
Yeah.
and just
of course, it's just
trusting.
because there's so many different types of people. How can we possibly connect with everyone and get them to believe those things? You'd be highly successful, but there'll always be a group of people that either think you're delusional or would never do that or think you were wrong. But that's the people that we don't need to know about and hear about, and it doesn't matter because they don't matter, because there's too many different types of people. They'll always be there. You've just got to just let them do what they need.
It is interesting that we find it uncomfortable to declare our like big dreams, or it's almost seen as like
in case you fail,
showy, or but I don't know if it's seen as like also like a bit braggy, like you know, if you were like I want to be, I don't know, I can't even think of an example. I want to be making like 5k months or something, and people are like, oh my god, that's like so tacky to be talking about money. Anything that's like success related obviously tends to come back to money as well. But or like saying I want to have the freedom of running my business so that I can travel whenever I want, and I'm gonna go and spend like the whole summer abroad with my daughter or whatever. People would just be like, that, well, why was like so lazy? Why don't you just work 9 to 5 like everybody else? Well, because I don't want to do that.
And then I just come back to...
I can make it happen that I can spend the whole summer in Spain.
Yeah. But then I just come back to, that's just a belief system that's either been given to us, like, you know, because again, with... Like, I remember when I was younger, like, I was called a show-off, like, quite a lot.
Yeah.
But it was just, like, with my dancing. And then you get to, like, where you don't share stuff. Yeah, whereas, like... No, whereas now, like, if someone shared to me, like, people share to me like their like biggest like dreams, I'm the one that's going, yes, and I can't wait for you to make that happen, and yes, like just kind of like go for that, you know. There'll always be some that want to pull back, but again, it comes back to what we said earlier on. That's a reflection of like their own beliefs, their own limitations. Put yourself into a space and surround yourself with people who have, you know, who have ambitions, who are achieving amazing things. They will be clapping you, like, because when you are around the right people that celebrate you and that you're able to, be vulnerable and like, oh, this didn't work out today, or this was challenging today, but it's like, yeah, but keep going though. And like the other thing that I'm like a real advocate for, going back to like as well as like self-trust and decisions are like just decisions, is success is in the action that we take, not in the outcome. And I think that is something that I've always like really tried to drill into like the kids that I teach, and I think there needs to be more of that in schools as well, because it's such an outcome orientated thing. And so sometimes our hobbies, like my son's a goalkeeper, but in his whole entire like footballing journey, if I wasn't at a game, my question was never, did you win? Like, it was always, how did you get on today? You know, and it was a few weeks back now, and he came back and I was like, how did you get on today? And he said, oh, well, the team lost. He said, but I had a right game. He said, I made some really good saves and this, you know. And I think we separating sometimes an outcome from just the action of doing something. And again, that's just because I grew up being a massive perfectionist for so long, and I do think that came from dance, because when I was in an environment where we were doing exams and things, it was about trying to get something as perfect as it could be to get the best result that like you could get. Whereas I've always just been an advocate for like the journey, like I'd shared, you know, before we started recording today, about me going to the gym today. Like I've set myself an event in the summer, so I found my love of running over like the last year, but I didn't want to have like a training schedule. I just wanted to go as and when it felt like it, because otherwise perfectionist Becky could have taken over, because if she's doing something, she's doing it 100%. So I was like, I just want to find the love, I just want to get into it like gradually, and I'd done it for a year, and I was like, right, I'll enter an event. But like, honestly, this morning, like I went out at the weekend and it was in the rain and everything, and I actually felt quite comfortable, even though like it was actually a real challenge. Jogging to the gym this morning for cardio, like, oh my God, it was so challenging. Like, you know, I literally felt like crap when I was doing it. Like, I got there and I just felt like my body had just got nothing. But then if I'm looking at timings or how fast I did something, like, that then could have been inverted commas failure, whereas I was like, but I still did it. But I still did it. I just showed up.
Yeah. I say this to a lot of my clients and it's something that I've had to learn to understand as well. Obviously, like becoming a PT and stuff, because I think you talking about the perfectionist mindset coming from dance has reminded me that maybe that's the reason I have a perfectionist mindset is because I used to play musical instruments.
Okay.
I could still play musical instruments. So I played the flute all through school and I did exams. So I went up to grade 7. And obviously that's...
I'm gonna sneeze.
You're sneezing. you. So that's like, it's really similar. Like you're doing your exams, you've got to get a certain score to pass. Like it's so like driven on, you know, your success of that hobby is just driven on what you achieve in it. When actually I loved like the social side, I loved just going and playing in like the bands, and my favourite bit about playing the flute was actually like going into like the concert band and chatting to my friends after and like just being part of it.
Yeah.
And like with the gym, I've now learnt like that which is what I like said to you about before we started recording, is that like my ability in the gym is really impacted by my cycle, and I talk to my clients a lot about this, and I say there's no bad session as long as you do your best in that moment. It's like the decision making thing, isn't it? Like as long as you're putting in the level of effort that you can give on that day and you come out knowing that you tried your best, which sounds really like something that my mum definitely said to me when I was like 8, but it's true. Like
it is true.
And she always, to be fair, my mum always said that when I was doing like my GCSEs and my levels, like as long as you know you've done your best, as long as you know you've revised the best that you could have done. And I remember that some exams I come out and I was like, I didn't do my best, but that's on me. I knew I'd not revised properly. I didn't fail, but I'd not done my best. It didn't matter what, if I got a C but I'd done my best, then that's just as good as getting an A. But yeah, I think like with the gym stuff, like a lot of people do come out and think, oh, that was a shit session, but I genuinely think like as long as you've done what you can do in that session, it's not a shit session.
And if they've done it, they've still moved and raised the heart rate and stretched the muscle.
You've moved. You've probably done a lot for your mental health just by like getting out, especially
definitely.
You know, going to the gym, and like it's good for like the routine as well, and like it's really good show of discipline going when you don't really want to go. But it's really hard for people to not just want to get PBs all the time.
Yeah.
But my sessions are like wildly different depending on where I am in my cycle. So I'd be very interested in if you start your period next week, Becky. Or the end of this week.
Just like when you mentioned the word like discipline though, and like on the flip side, when I'd said earlier on, like I am an advocate though for like also listening to our energy, and like part of like what I do with like the self-leadership is also to be like, but if our body, like I didn't go to Pilates yesterday morning because I would normally go to that on a Monday, but I actually ran the longest I'd ever run on Sunday, which was like 9.22 miles.
Yeah.
And then it was like yesterday, I just was like, my discipline now is actually going to be listening to what I feel like my body needs today. And my body does not need to go to Reformer Pilates today. You know, we went and had a walk like on the canal, and I think it's such a fine balance, and this is why like knowing yourself, or all of us for ourselves, and being like really self-aware, we're then able to like navigate, because I do agree with being committed to things, and I do agree with being disciplined for things, but then I also agree with tuning into our own energies as well, and our bodies and what we actually need. And sometimes we need that pause, and sometimes we need that rest, and we need that recuperation to then enable to like have the next wave of, you know, to go forward. And I think whether that's going to the gym or whether that's in business, or, you know, now if I'm having a bit of an energetic day where I think, oh, you know, I don't feel particularly creative today, like, but, you know, I've set myself that I was going to do X, Y, or Z, I just change it now. I don't go, oh, I've said I'm going to do this today, so I'm going to do that. Because again, I'm almost exploring and going, But if I'm feeling in a creative mood, I can do something much faster when I'm already like within, like within that. So
yeah, I agree. It's a fine balance because you've got, there's obviously like the discipline where it's almost too much and it's obsessive and unhealthy behaviour, but then you've also got the I'm probably treading on a bit of dodgy water here, dodgy ground here, but I'm going to go for it anyway. Like with the what's it called? Like, what's the movement called? Like anti-diet culture and love your body kind of whatever culture that, you know,
Love your body just the way it is, or
yeah,
something.
stuff like that. And I think, and like just listen to your body. I think, sorry, if I just listen to my body 100% of the time, I would probably just like do not a lot and eat Maltesers and drink red wine. Like, I think that there's like a bit of a like, yeah, listen to your body, but also don't be a fucking dick to your body. Like, you like kids, you've got to like guide them. Like you can't just say to a child, eat whatever you want in the house, like for your dinner, because Elodie would choose ice lollies at the moment. Like that's what she would want to eat. But she has, and I explained to her, you need to eat different food. And I literally talked to her about protein. Like she knows what foods are high in protein. She knows why she needs to eat protein. She knows why she needs to eat carbohydrates. She literally said to me when she had eggs on toast, she went, "Oh, Mummy, the toast, that's carbohydrates, so that will give me energy." I said, "Yeah." And she went, "And the eggs are protein, so that's going to help my muscles get big and strong." I said, "Yeah." She went, "So when I have protein and carbohydrates together, then that'll give me, my body, the energy to get big and strong." I'm like, "Yeah, exactly." Like, and I think you need to know that so you don't eat ice lollies all day.
yeah, there's got to be the education behind it and the knowledge like behind it.
I do agree, like obviously doing that run on Sunday, but like I think some people can fall into a bit of a, well, I'm just listening to my body, I need to rest, and then it like continues
6 weeks
so,
later.
Like, yeah, like come on, sort your shit out, girl. Like get yourself to the gym.
Yeah, because really, it's like that week running up to the period, it's like you know that you're changing and your body's not great, and then maybe the first 2 days, but that doesn't mean I'm going to have 8, 9 days.
Yeah, you can't have 9 days.
No,
and then,
no.
I'm on my period for 8 to 9 days a month because I have really shitty long periods. I can't take 9 days off doing like exercise because I would just feel like shit. And actually, like I know, and because I'm really self-aware, I know that I will feel better by taking the dog for a walk or going to the gym. Like even if I say, right, I'll just do 10 minutes and see what happens, I will always feel better. There is not a situation where I've been to the gym and come out feeling worse. But it might be that I'm gonna walk the dog and not go to the gym, but I'm still gonna move and I'm still gonna like look after myself as best I can on that day.
Absolutely, it's about modifying it with what you've got. And as I say, like yesterday morning, I was like, I do not have a reformer Pilates class in me now. No. But yeah, we walked down the canal yesterday, 2.5 miles, and then like stopped off and had like a bite to eat, and then walked back, and like so still got something and still did something, but it was more in line with this is where my energy level is at like today, and this is like where it is, because it is a balance, and this is where everyone has to, like, the self-awareness, we've mentioned it a lot, it is about knowing like who you are and how you function like really well. But yeah, once upon a time I think I'd have probably just gone, yeah, but I committed to that class, so I'm going to go to that class. But then I'd have probably ended up getting there, probably then end up injuring myself because my body's not in the capacity to be able to do it. And you know,
start presenting the class when it's actually something you really enjoy doing.
Yeah.
I think people, when they're really forced to do something, like I remember like as a teenager, my mum just always on diets and stuff, and then like she ran to lose weight. So she just resented exercise because all she saw exercise for was, this is how I have to get skinny, like, and just pure negative connotations. Whereas now she does weightlifting. And I wouldn't go as far as to say she enjoys it, but it's the longest she's ever stuck at anything for. And she will admit that.
I'd much rather lift something than run anywhere.
She likes that she gets to rest in between each set. And it's better for her because she's menopausal. so it's much better for her. But like, if you push yourself to do, if you really force it too much and it's not something that really aligns with you and you do it for the wrong reasons, then you just become really bitter and resentful, I think.
Yeah.
I think the reason behind something is really important.
100%. Yeah.
Oh God, Becky, I don't know how to like wrap this up really, because it's been such a bloody
I think it's endless.
It is endless.
In the best way. Like, my mind is just...
I know. I can't wait to have a debrief with Francesca.
It's going to take us weeks to get over this. And I don't want to get over it. I want to keep it and live it.
I'm going to listen back to our... I never listened to the podcast back, but I'm going to listen back to this one.
Yeah.
Where can people find you for a start? Share, like, obviously all your info on your socials and stuff.
Yeah, so Instagram is my main place, Becky Farrow 1. And I'm also on Facebook as well, Becky Farrow.
Francesca's a teenager, so she's getting a phone so she can find you. Right?
Not a teenager, because I have to get my glasses out. Look what's happened to my new glasses.
Oh no.
So I just do this now.
Oh Jesus.
They still work perfectly well. Let me get on the Instagram, hang on.
The Instagram.
Oops, no, I'm resuming things. Pause, right. I forgot to stop the Strava. Look, I've been walking for 2 hours now. Instagram, right.
Okay, Instagram. And how can people... Are you doing coaching or not? Are you just doing speaking at the moment? If someone wants you to come and speak for them, how can they go about that? Just message you or...
Yeah, just message me. And then in terms of my coaching, I do in-person events in my studio, like seasonal, and I also do online things. So I'm doing my first online actually just a week on Friday, and that's like just what I call an intentional pause. Yeah. And then eventually what I want to do is basically like be able to just have those as like evergreen products that people can sort of have there. So yeah, who knows, by the time this goes out I could have had another idea and I'll be doing something else.
Yeah.
I know, we best act quick because we'll be on to the next thing.
On to the next thing. So. Yeah, definitely. Have you got any final I don't know, like you've spoken to us about so many interesting things, but is there any, like, if you give one tip to someone who is an overthinker, as you've been an overthinker, what would you tell them?
So my sentence that I always say for overthinking is, if it's not a definite yes, it's a no.
If it's not a definite yes, it's a no.
So you might be thinking, oh, I'm not sure about this.
Like, if what? Oh, well,
so you've got to telling you no, so you should listen to the no.
I always just think it's so I'll use it when I go like so like let's say you're going shopping and you're putting the clothes on in the changing room, and then you're like, so I always have to start with like something trivial, because this is where we build the habits, the trivial places, you know, and you're like, you might be putting something on and you're like, oh, I'm not really sure, like I don't know how often I'd wear it, like, oh, I don't know if it'd go, like, well, to me, we're umming and ahhing about like where it's going to fit in, whereas I could put something on and go, oh, I just love this, yes, I'm having it.
Yeah.
So then it kind of builds up, because otherwise, again, we get into where we're negotiating and everything like that. Now, this is where some people say, if you're scared about something, but I might this, but I might that, but you know, or if it's in the sale, I'd be like, so would you have paid full price for it? No, well then you don't want it bad enough, then
you don't need it.
Oh yeah. That is,
you know, so I always just say, if it's not a definite yes, it's a no. And the only time I've had someone sort of query that is to go, yeah, but if you feel a little bit scared about it, like that's not a definite yes, is it? So then I come back to where I go, but if you look at my theory when I always say, if the ideal outcome was going to be there and you knew everything was going to work out, and you know, what would you have on the other side of that? Would you go for that? If the answer to that is yes, which for the majority of people it usually is, then you've got to go towards that.
So good. So good. Thank you so much, Becky.
It's been really lovely and interesting, and it's been
nearly an hour and a half.
couldn't put the Instagram down then, except I had to think, so I had to.
Oh, thank you so much, Becky.
Thanks for having me.
Lovely.
You're so welcome.